Hey, what's up everybody? This is Escroll, and I'm bringing to you today another video that will be centered around what is a bot and essentially what goes into sustaining one, having one, being an owner, the ins and outs, basically the things that aren't really talked about that are incredibly important when you want to consider yourself to be a bot owner. One of the most popular misconceptions to having a bot is that the bot will always cook, the bot doesn't mess up, it's automated, it takes care of all your problems, it's super simple. There's a lot of rumors that just are easily spread that having a bot is essential if you want to be successful. And that is not entirely true. There are some details to the bots that is obviously accurate, which is the automation, a little bit of simplicity. It does help you in attaining multiples and stuff along those lines, but by no means does it mean that you can just press a button and you're going to cop and that you're going to cop every single time. Bots do break, bots do require maintenance. There are requirements and investments that you need to put into to put it in the right environment and to also gather the right tools to have the bot work um, efficiently and correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and touch on all those things and hopefully put some perspective on what goes into being an owner.
So let's begin with understanding what a bot is. So it's important to know what exactly we're getting when we talk about a bot. And in very simple terms, a bot is essentially just a software that's going to take your information and run a task, right? So a task is just basically a job that you instructed to do at a particular store. And this is very important because bots are coded to support different kinds of stores. There are some bots that offer all-in-one capability. They cover different kinds of areas. This is Bot Broker, and Bot Broker is one of the safest places to purchase a bot if you are interested in looking for one. This doesn't offer all the bots available on the market, but for the ones that do, it has a pretty nice wide range of different sites. And so this is what I'm talking about. There are Nike bots, bots that work on Adidas, bots that work on Shopify, Supreme, Foot Sites, and Mesh. Not all bots hit all these areas. Some bots hit multiple areas, like you see here. Cyber All-in-One does cover multiple, and then you have something like Adept that only covers Supreme. Something like Go Sneakers only covers Nike. So it's important for you to kind of analyze what stores you want to go for, and that can help you trim down your selection of what bot you want to have. That is essentially what a bot is. Next, we want to focus on what is it that a bot needs to run. Most of that falls into this information category. And information can be very, very straightforward as your name, your shipping, your billing, and your payment information. So you need to be able to provide that. And if you are targeting multiples, you're going to need to provide different sets of that same information. So let me go ahead and pull up some bots for visual representation. This is Kodai, and like we're talking about in the profiles here, I don't have any. So basically, you would have a clean slate, and you would go ahead and want to start making a profile, test, choose your region. We're in the United States, and then you just go ahead and type in all this information, and then you save. You want to have multiple profiles because the profile is what is used to run your task, because this is essentially the person that's going to be buying that product. You can run it with the same profile. If you hit multiple times, very likely you're going to have all those other duplicate canceled and potentially also have your information banned. So it's very important to protect yourself. Now, in that same topic of conversation, along with the profiles, you also need proxies. And this ties into the whole point of having multiple profiles, is that you want to make your tasks look as a different person each time. So the profiles does one half of that by having the information, the billing, the shipping, and the payment be look like someone else at least. The proxies do the other half of that by providing you an IP or a location that is also different from your own. So even if I had multiple profiles, let me actually see if I have any profiles loaded up here. Okay, so this is a different bot, TKS, and as you can already see, like the design is different, the sites that it supports is different. So I'll touch back to this towards the end. But this in this case, I do have multiple profiles already loaded into the bot, and so I've taken care of one of the requirements here. Now, the second requirement is proxies. And so here I do have them loaded up. But if I did not, what would happen is when I create my task, I would have to leave this blank because I don't have any proxy set, at least for this bot. And so when you leave this blank, what this means is that it's going to use your IP address. And here are all the tasks. So as you can see, you have the site, the product you're going for, and the profile being used. Now, this is what I'm talking about with utilization of proxies. I don't have any proxies loaded, so what this is going to do is use my home IP to buy the sneaker. The problem here is that these all look like different people. So what the store sees is 20 different people in the same computer trying to buy the same product. And so that's going to flag the site for it being a bot, and it's not only going to potentially lock out this set of information, but also going to lock out my IP. So I'm basically going to be banned from the store. Now that can be for several minutes, several hours, or potentially even longer than that. It can kind of vary based on the hype of the drop, but this is why proxies are very important because this proxy set of information, GKS has this nice little cool function where I can mass edit all of these. And I'm going to turn off the delay. I'm going to edit this and say I want to use this set of proxies. Hit save, and now all of them have that proxy set. So this task is going to go into this list and it's going to pick one. And so it's going to assign a proxy to all of my tasks. So now all of my profiles are protected and I look as authentic as I can be. So now all I have to do is start the task, let it run, and hopefully it cops. This does not by any means imply that all these 20 are going to hit. Things can happen. The sites can crash. The bot can need an update. These are all things that you need to take into account that can contribute to your success or failures when you're running tasks. This is just one of those things that people just kind of forget about. There's actually more work needed. As you can see, you need to create all these profiles, and of course keep in mind that each one of these has a different set of payment information. So these are 20 different cards, these are 20 different proxies, so you need to be able to attain these things to really get the most out of what you're buying. Let's move on to the last thing I want to cover in this video, and that is the environment. The bot needs to create these tasks, and it's going to create these tasks in basically its own browser environment, and it's going to be using my internet. So why does that matter? Well, if my internet's really bad, these are going to be pretty slow. Now I'm going to be hindering the performance of the bot because I might not have the best environment. So say I have really bad internet, my computer slows down really quickly all the time. Like what can I do, right? Can I just never use a bot? Well, yeah, you can. So what you can utilize is a server. Let me go ahead and show you what I'm talking about by comparing some speeds on my server and on my PC. So I'm going to be using speedtest.net, and I'm just going to go ahead and click go. And so this is just basically going to test my upload and download speed. This is the server, and this is my own internet. And so what we're going to see is an apples to apples comparison on what basically I'm getting from each place. Here we have the results of that test. As you can see, my personal download speed is at 200 megabytes per second. The download speed on the server is basically 4 times my speed. Upload, it's not even funny. This is basically a very clear apples to apples comparison on what benefits can give on a server. Now, do you need to have one? No, of course not. For certain sites, speed isn't that big of a thing. For some sites, it is, right? So this all goes into the setup and preparation and getting comfortable with the bot that you have. So this is basically a very high level of what is needed for a bot to even run. So sure, big thing, right? What's the whole point of this escrow? Well, the point of this is that all these things require more capital investment that you don't really initially take into account. You basically just think of, hey, I just need to buy the bot and I'm good to go. There's more work needed on the back end. So what does all this that I've talked about look like in terms of that financial discussion, right? So let me pull up a Excel document. Here, let's go ahead and fill this out and see what it looks like, what we're looking at 6-7 months, um, and get some actual perspective on these things. So the bots, how much do you think you guys want to drop on a bot, right? So let's just say we want something that's pretty good on average. That's something else that you need to take into account, because obviously you're not going to want to buy something that doesn't work. You want to buy something that does work, and as you might expect, bots that are good, bots that work, are not cheap, right? They're pretty expensive. Let's just pick something pretty good. Phantom. I'm a big fan of Phantom. So let's just go ahead and look at the asks for Phantom, and here are the lifetime keys. And let's just say, yeah, I'm not really feeling dropping down this much for a lifetime key. Let's check out renewal. So renewal is actually okay, like 600 bucks. That might be something I can work with. So let's just say this is something that I accept, that I'm willing to do. And this little piece of information right here is also very important. This is basically your subscription fee. So for every 6 months, I need to pay another $150 to keep this bot. Here's another thing that people don't take into account, is that all bots have some sort of subscription service. There are some bots that offer lifetime keys, which means that I just have to pay this 1147 and I will never have to pay as long as I use this bot. I should be good to go. This is a lifetime key. But most people kind of default into renewal keys because it's cheaper, right? But over time, you can easily see that after say a year, I've already put $300 into renewal fees, which makes this total price $900, and it's only going to continue to grow. So even though your front end cost might be cheaper, the longer you use this bot, the more you're easily gonna pass this price the longer you're into this whole business. So let's just say, for the sake of example, we're gonna choose this. So the price of our bot is going to be $600. Now, what else do we need? Well, we mentioned proxies, right? So what does the price of proxies look like? So I've brought up two examples here. This is chai proxies and fatal proxies. Our members have had success. I have had success using these proxies, and there are a lot of proxy providers. Having a set of proxies that does not get banned is a super powerful tool. Banning happens all the time. You can't really do anything about it, but we do keep track of providers that have had success for our members. So we take that into account and we provide that info for you guys to use. So here we're looking at chai. And let's just focus right now for residentials. Let's say we're going to pick 2 GB of residential proxies at Chai, and that's actually going to cost me $50. Let's go to Fatal, and let's also choose 2 GB, and that's also going to be $50. Just for this, we have two different providers, and it's going to cost us $50 each for 2 GB. What else did we talk about? A server. So what does that look like? Well, let's go ahead and I'll use the server I use as an example. So I'm a big fan of flat rate servers, and that is because I can run my server all day long for as long as I like, every single hour of the day, and I only have to pay one price. Of course, the price is now going to be dependent on how big your server is. Let's go down and check out the more affordable option. So you have the starter, pro and elite. This is basically your wheelhouse where people generally sit. I personally, in my case, I have an elite server. However, I purchased this on a discounted rate because of a certain group I was in. And so this basically got me an elite for the price of pro. So let's just say for our sample case, we're gonna get a pro. Now, if you want to get the hourly rate one, by all means do so. There are providers that do give you that. And a pretty simple example can be Google Cloud. So the Google actually offers you a free trial basis for using their servers. So let me actually go ahead and make a new one so you can kind of see what we're talking about in terms of pricing, because that is important, right? So let's go ahead and create an instance, which is basically just another server. Doesn't matter what we really call this, but here's where it matters. So I have this much credit. All new users are given a $300 credit, so you can basically use a free cloud server up until you spend $300 worth. And so this is what I'm talking about right here. They are going to charge me about 3 cents an hour for running this server right now. Now, you're thinking, oh wow, that's super cheap. But then again, I haven't really set my memory, I haven't set my location. I haven't set my operating system. Why don't we do an apples to apples and set that up, right? So let's just say machine type, let's do 15 gigabytes. They don't have a 12 or a, oh, here's a 16, right? So let's do the 15 one. Let's select that. And already now you're up to 13 cents. As we select other details, let's go ahead and say we want to do Windows Server, and we're going to choose the latest 2019 data center core. So now we have the data center core, and now we're up to 30 cents an hour, right? And so this is just to use a Windows server for 16 gigs. If I wanted to run this server every single day of the month, let's do 30, 720 at 30 cents. I have spent now $216 in comparison to 10x server, which I can do the same thing at 80 or at 100, right? So this really just depends on how you're planning to use your bot, how you're planning to have your setup. These are all important factors that contribute to how much you're going to be investing, right? This is very important stuff, right? This scales up very, very quickly. This is just 1 month. I'm going to do you guys a favor and say we're going to get a 10x server, at least for right now, at $80. And let's just press forward with our financial breakdown, right? And this isn't going to be impacting us this month, but remember, we have a bot with the renewal subscription. And so we're going to need to take that into account when it's time to play ball, right? So what is our total here? So we have spent almost $800 on our first month of just setting up. This still doesn't take into account the fact that you have to buy the shoe or buy whatever product you're going for. So this is basically your first month, your starting up month, right? But now, if for months 2 through 6 or 2 through 7, you're basically gonna be paying this every single month now, right? Because you need this to maintain your bot. So let's just scroll this over. And so every month for your server and proxies, you have to spend $200 to basically run your bot. But that's not all, right? We have a renewal fee. And so that's going to kick in 6 months after our purchasing month, which is actually month 7. So that's why I have the 7 here. And what we said that was 150 for 6 months. And so now we have been doing well, and now we have to drop another 150 to keep our bot. This is basically what I wanted to get to, right? Just giving you guys the visual of what it takes to run something like this. I know for a fact they don't think about these things when they talk about, hey, getting a bot. Like it's not something that's easy to deal with, because if you miss out, say you don't hit for 3 months, well, that's this much just gone down the drain, right? Or at least it feels that way. Other things to take into account at this point, right? When we purchased our proxies, we purchased 2 gigabytes each. So in that example where we touched on running your bot for all day, every day, 2 gigabytes isn't going to be enough to support that kind of thing, right? Because your proxies are constantly hitting the site, refreshing the page, and as the sites refresh, you're using data. It's very similar to a phone plan. So you are going to need way more than 2 gigabytes of data for each one. So this means that this number actually increases. It's going to scale based on how much data you need to run your bot. You have to use this balancing act, and you need to take in the experiences of running on different drops on different days. It's very easy to just see someone on this side of the screen and say, dang, like this guy got like 10 pairs, or they got 5 pairs, or they got whatever. But what you don't see is that they have 2 big computers, they have 3 servers, they have 10 bots. All of that just makes this number much bigger, right? Because this is just for one, right? So it can get pretty ugly pretty quickly. And so we want to avoid that for all of our members and for everybody watching this video. I have this and many more guides and videos in our Discord server in the Lace Network. And part of that includes a bot breakdown table where I basically take the information on what bots are doing good, which ones are not doing good, and I provide grades. And I also update this every month to show which ones are doing better this month than they did last month. I also have obviously a breakdown of the pricing that they can go for, because as you probably noticed, the bots that I showed you today aren't in Bot Broker. And so not all these bots are able to be bought there. Some of these have to be purchased from somebody else that doesn't want it anymore. And so I have the information as to what range you're looking at when you want to look at a particular bot. So we have this and many more, much more information to help you prepare. Everything I've covered in today's video in terms of like respectably setting up for the bot, we have guides for, we have videos for to kind of prepare you and make things easier and break things down. And if there's any other topics you would like me to cover down the line, feel free to comment below. Let me know what you think. So thank you so much. Have a great day, and I'll see you on the next one.